everybody. It is 7 o'clock, and welcome to Straight Up Talk Boston. With Joey Canzano, Johnny Peasy, and me, Billy Pizzulo, have we got a show for you tonight. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Straight Up Talk Boston. It's Billy Pizzulo right here with Johnny Peasy and Joey Canzano. We are here live every Sunday night, every Monday night at 7 o'clock. And we want you guys to, hopefully, if you're enjoying our content, you've subscribed to YouTube. If you have not done that, please do so, or follow us on Facebook as well. But we're trying to get those subscriptions up as far as we can on YouTube. We just have such a good show for you tonight. We have a special guest for you. He's a REVERE historian. Not only that, he's the awesome bassist from the band Fortune. And we're going to have him going on very soon. And we just want you guys to know that these guys, if you've never seen Fortune before, unbelievable band. They're going to be at the Kowloon. What day, Lou?
August 7th.
August 7th. So you want to be able to buy your tickets and do that right now. So go ahead and get your tickets at Kowloon and get that going.
Uh-oh, what's that? I hear music.
Oh.
What's that, Billy? What's going on? What's the bill?
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we've had this controversy.
Check ignition and may God's love.
All right. So anyway, we had this. Oh, good. Okay. So we've had this controversy
Lou had to shut it off.
that goes on.
Maybe you can shut him off too.
about the moon land. I have just proved right here in this studio in Wakefield,
yes.
that we have landed on the moon. We have landed on the moon.
And you proved that. How did you prove that, John?
Very simply. Why would David Bowie write a song about a spaceship? If we didn't land on the moon, why would he write that?
He never mentioned the moon.
Because he was high. That's why. He
Yes.
did.
That's right. He went high all over the moon. And so anyways, I know I'm right. And we're going to prove that I'm right as we go moving forward. Okay. So anyway, like I said, we have a guest here tonight. And I know he's with me. Now, last week, this Charlie...
More.
That's right. That's very good. Charlie Amore. No, more. He was with them. I don't know why. If I knew that, out of here. But anyways, tonight we have Lou.
There was more than Charlie Moore with us. There was Boston Dad with us. There was Bobby Wong with us.
Oh, they all believed
They all believed we never went. Don't believe we went to the moon.
None of them believe.
And your friend Joey,
Joey Terrell.
I don't know any of those
Joey
people.
Tyrone.
I don't know any of those people. I have nothing to do with those.
Joey really
crazy-
buried you that night. I got to be honest with you. If Joey's watching tonight, good job, Joey.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good job. No, but
He said something. And
I'm gonna ask. Wait a minute. I'm gonna ask Lou. What's your feeling on landing on the moon?
Well, here's the thing, first of all. Opinions, anyone can have one. I don't know how you can argue over something, right? That nobody that we know, no one that we know, has enough information to form an opinion, like an educated opinion. You can say, I think Bobby Orr was better than Wayne Gretzky. Well, how can you say that? Have you ever played pro hockey? Well, no, I've been watching it my whole life. Okay, well, I'm making an educated opinion because at least I've watched it my whole life. I don't know a goddamn thing about space travel. I know that we were in a race against the Russians, and I know that, yes, we needed to do something to one up them because blah blah blah. But we don't have enough. We don't have enough information to argue over it. Do I believe we were there? Yeah, because I want to believe it.
Oh, God, strike the band up. That he's got one Billy on his side.
No, but
I
that's
don't know about that.
But wait a minute, though.
He
But
is a
wait.
very smart man.
I said it again.
This guy here, very smart. He knows what he's talking about.
But I'll say it
These
again.
other two jokers here have no idea that we went. Thank you, Lou.
So
I just want to say
No,
thank you.
Wait, he said he.
Quiet, Billy.
He said he.
All right, where were we?
He wanted to believe.
I win.
Don't-
I win.
Don't yell.
I win.
Billy, you got to
don't-
turn the headphones down at my
I,
head.
No, turn
win.
Johnny down.
I win.
I have pus coming out of my ears. I think I.
He's screaming. into the
Johnny,
microphone.
he agrees with you.
I
Just
win.
take it as a win and shut up.
No, but what I'm saying though is it's not enough of a strong evidence either way to have an argument about it.
Wait a minute.
You
There's
can't argue.
there's no evidence.
There's not enough strong evidence to say that we landed on the moon.
Oh,
But wait, but there's also not enough evidence to say we didn't.
What about common sense, Lou?
Oh,
Does
no,
does that play
but-
into
well,
anything?
you
Listen,
don't have any.
But the
We're
thing is,
talking to
wait a
Lou.
minute though, time out. Common sense is we saw the rocket go up into the sky.
That's right.
So did it orbit the Earth like they said? Yeah, maybe not.
Common sense says also we didn't even have a cell phone in those days, but yet Richard Nixon made a call from the White House to the moon.
Well,
On
he
a road-
didn't. He
on
didn't
a-
make the call. He made a call to Cape Canaveral, and they wired it.
Oh
in.
yeah, that's not much
They
different.
have an
Hey, can you-
extension
can you-
cord.
Can you turn both of them
You
down?
don't. You
I'm
don't
trying.
know.
All right. So listen. Here's what I
Oh.
do.
Louis, you got sensitive ears tonight.
I want to say I pull in the parking lot, right? First of all, and I think to myself, look at this. There's a pickup truck. There's a pickup truck. There's a pickup truck. Do any of you guys do construction? First of all, and second of all,
Well, like
I said-
deconstruction.
I said, so I'm going to go in there and I'm going to sit down next to Joey and I'm going to sit down next to Johnny and I'm going to sit down next to Billy. And I said, all the old guys with the little boy names. We're going to play in the sandbox with Louie.
And Louis fits right in there with the little boys.
That's
there,
right. All us
Billy, Johnny, Joey, Louis.
all us Italians. A lot of Italian here.
Not to change the subject, but back to the moon thing for the final thing. So you believe we landed? Yes or no?
Yes.
There you
Okay.
go. Johnny
end
got to
it.
win.
That's good. Beautiful.
All right,
Thank
we
you.
can move on from
All
there.
right. Okay. Move on.
What do you got, Johnny? You usually start
All right.
every
No,
night.
no. Actually, we're going to start off by asking Lou. Lou, from what I understand, you're a historian about Revere.
Revere Beach, to be exact. But yeah, my mother was a Revere historian, and she was unbelievable. She had to do research without internet. She'd go to a library in Timbuktu and drag me with her when I was 11. So, I kind of had that idea, but I got into Revere Beach because I'm going to talk about it tonight, but about just the anniversary of when the beach was opened. That's what got me into it. I started looking things up, and once I did, then I found some, great information and some tremendous discrepancies. So, that's how usually historians, you get on the rabbit hole.
Now, Revere Beach was the very first public beach in the country. Is that
Yeah,
how
but
that goes?
yes, but it's not that simple, because when you think about a public beach is what anybody can just go swimming in, right? So the fact is, people were swimming in Revere Beach just like Nantasket and like other beaches, Lynn Beach. They were swimming in beaches long before Revere became. See, what it is Revere became the first public beach, as the DCR. And it used to be the MDC. Remember, we had the MDC police station.
Sure.
So the MDC started as the MPC, Metropolitan Parks Commission. And that was in the 1890s. And that was started because a guy named Charles Eliot wanted to preserve open land, open space for people, and for future generations. And so one of the areas that he targeted was Revere Beach. So that started in 1892, 1893, when he decided, okay, I want to, in Boston, if you go up the Riverway, there's a lot of DCR properties, and you could see them. They all have that similar look to them. They're beautiful, they're peaceful, and Revere Beach was the first time in that little area, like they had started. That was the first time that a state owned a beach for public use, and it's never going to be built upon. It can't be taken, for any other usage. It's protected, like a protected park, like Central Park, or like in Boston, like those
Boston,
parks.
yeah, the Boston
Yeah,
Common. And
so
the
it's a
Public Garden.
protected park. Nobody can build on it.
On where?
On Revere Beach.
I mean, on the beach, of course, it's up. But I mean, look at the building aside from.
Now, Paul Revere was from Charlestown. Did he vacation at Revere Beach?
I'm going to file that under the moon.
Yeah,
none of us have enough information to make a.
But that would be a legitimate question. I mean, did Paul Revere get? Now he had 16 kids. Did he go? Come on, kids, we're going to go to.
He took his protein pills.
Protein.
It's
that's good.
well. I'll
Joe.
tell you what's really interesting about the beach is it started off pretty much like what you see right now, except there were no buildings at all. There was, if you go back to now 1830, there was one structure on the whole beach.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was that? On Ocean Ave?
All the way down to the Pines.
General Edwards?
Nope. It was called the Robinson Crusoe House.
Was that the same location as the General Edwards Inn?
You know where it was? Roughly where the Rotary is. Oh, where the
where the
circle.
well, that's where
across from it. Yeah, but not where the General.
Do you remember the General Edwards?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
you might have been a little young for
Oh
that
no,
one.
I ate there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was kind of falling down when
Yeah.
we were in high school.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But I mean, it was the General Edwards Inn. That's another one that goes back to the 1930s. It was called the Circle Inn, and then it became General Edwards.
Do you remember that building, Johnny, at the end of the beach, right before the Point of Pines?
When I was a kid growing up, I never got out of East Boston,
Yeah.
Joe. The only place I ever visited was Pleasure Island in Wakefield.
So in other words, he doesn't have enough information to make a. That's going to be the
Now he
theme
has
of the
Pleasure
night.
Bedroom.
So
Sorry, Lou.
I gotta.
With the last time Louis was here, he said it's only been 5 minutes. They're already taking it to the gutter.
Well, we're not doing that tonight.
Not doing
Now
that
we have
tonight.
another guy here, Billy Pizzullo.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing,
Who-
Billy?
I'm here.
Who is that guy, by the way?
Yeah, remember one of the things that you talked about in your blog. You said that not only was there only one building, but it was a railroad that went all the way the whole stretch of the beach, all the way to Lynn.
Yeah. So
The narrow gauge, right?
That's right.
what's really interesting though is it's very hard to see this. I was talking to someone about this. If you go back to even before the railroad, so the railroad came in 1875. But what was interesting was before that, there was no boulevard. So the sand came up to whatever, the water would come in or the sand was wherever it was. So there's no boulevard. Ocean Ave was actually the Beach Ave. That was what would have been the boulevard. And you think, wow, Ocean Ave, okay, so on the other side of Bill Asher's, that's pretty far from the water. But that's how it was at that point. And so then Ocean Ave took a right on Revere Street, and then what's the boulevard now, all the way to the Pines, that was Ocean Ave. And so then when they built the train was on the other side of Ocean Ave.
On the Ocean Ave is
It
labeled
was
Ocean Ave.
literally where the wall is, all the way to the Pines. That was where the railroad tracks were.
Really?
And then it went all the way down where the boulevard is from Revere Street all the way to Beachmont.
Right.
That was
Called the narrow gauge.
but that whole thing was the narrow gauge,
Right.
right? It was actually the Boston, Lynn, and Revere Beach.
Do you?
Okay.
Do you know it went down your street?
I
You
know
that.
that. I was
It
just
went
gonna say
right
that.
down your street.
I was just going to say
What
that.
street are you?
It was Washburn Ave.
The
And I was
tracks are still there.
The tracks are still underneath.
Yeah,
They're
under-
underneath
yeah.
the tire.
That's right.
They tired them about early 70s. But I grew up as a little boy driving, riding a bike on the tracks, and you'd fall, and
Same Broad Sound Ave.
Broad Sound Ave.
The train, I mean, back in those days, it went all the way to Winthrop, too. There was a couple of train lines, but it went down Broad Sound Ave.
Yep.
But the tracks, though, were the boulevard. And so then Charles Elliott came in. And that's kind of the thing about the blog, why I wrote it, though, is I wanted to go, it was one of those things I says, I want to find the article when the grand opening of Revere Beach was, because I had seen some things where it'll always show this photo of people out on the sand, and you can see this whole thing, and it says, yes, July 12th, 1896, when 45,000 people showed up at Revere Beach for the grand opening. So I said, I want to get the article. So I go to Boston Public Library at Copley. I get the microfilm for the Revere Journal.
I used to work there.
Where?
The Boston Public Library, Copley Square.
That's why I don't go anymore,
Do you know?
because you're not there.
Billy, do you know? Louis, do you know that if you could punch up videos on YouTube and you could actually see the narrow gauge coming from Revere Beach down my street, Johnny?
Right down your street.
I didn't know they
yeah,
were down your
Washburn.
street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
I have to-
down,
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
knew that.
I have all the old maps, the atlases that show where all the
Yes.
train lines go. So now I got to look that
They go
up.
from Washburn Ave into East Boston.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt just what Billy. Are we live? Because
We
I
are not live. The internet is down.
Okay.
Comcast is down.
just want
Are
to.
we
I
still
keep-
recording though?
Yes, we are.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So then we'll just.
We didn't miss one thing.
All right. So I'll
Okay,
keep.
I wanted to
I-
make sure. I didn't know if you knew we were
So I'll
down.
keep-
Yeah, no.
I'll just keep
Comcast is
going. I
down.
don't know.
It's completely down.
Should I keep talking or should
Yeah,
I shut up?
absolutely. No,
So-
keep talking.
No, so the thing that was funny was, so I'm sitting there with the microfilm, and I said, all right, so July 12th, and I look at it, and I said, all right, July 11th was when the journal came out. So I said, well, let me look at that one because that'll show about how they're prepping for it. And I see nothing, right? So nothing on that whole cover of the newspaper. And so then there was on page 5 of the journal, they used to do Crescent Beach News. So I go there, and there's nothing. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, maybe they didn't report the news that way. So I go the following issue, right, which is July 18th. Now that's after the celebration. Nothing. And so I go to the next one, nothing. Then I ask for the Herald, for the Globe, for the Post, for the American, for whatever newspapers were available in 1896, and I found nothing. And so the conclusion was there was no grand opening of Revere Beach. So now what I also found at that point was the state didn't even own it yet. It wasn't the whole first public beach in America. Well, the state didn't even buy it yet. So now that's how I actually became what now people refer to me as a historian.
So who had jurisdiction over it then?
It was privately owned. And so
By who?
by private, but just people. It was like, for instance, people don't understand now. You have the train as the boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
There was no wall. There were all buildings. Basically, a picture like where now I have singing going on. What's that all about? So picture all the way from Elliott Circle all the way to Revere Street. There's
Right.
buildings on both sides. So if you're on the train, you can't even see the water unless you're between buildings. And so now when Charles Elliott comes in, and here he is, he wants to like preserve it, and he said, the best part of this beach is the natural sweep, the crescent shape of it. And he goes, you can't even see it. And the train line is only here to make money off bringing people to the beach. So nobody cares. And so he petitioned the state and said, we need to get rid of these buildings. We need to take it, eminent domain, buy it, whatever. And so that's what happened. On October 1st, 1896, state took it over. The 500,000 became $1 million because $500,000 wasn't enough. And that's a lot of money in 1896.
Oh, God, yeah.
They took all the land all the way up to Revere Street, and they had an auction. It
But
was
who were the private owners that owned it?
people, you, me.
Imagine that.
Yeah, you just but I have some photos where you could see a bathhouse, you see a restaurant, there's like a hotel, another hotel, but then there were these like ramshackle little,
Cottages.
falling apart cottages.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. They're on the beach, but the other
That's where Paul Revere summered.
But the other thing, though, was don't forget the tides came in back then. Tides are nothing like they were back then because we've cleaned up some of the marshes, and the marshes now serve as inlets, so the tides are lower. We also raised the sand up. Like, remember the police station when we were younger? You could sit on that concrete. Now the
sure.
concrete's
Yeah.
still there. It's just buried because they raised the sand so much that now when the tide comes in, the tides are lower. They're not hitting the street like you used to see lobsters out in the street when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there would be crabs on the.
That's
you
true.
know, crabs on the sidewalk, and not those kind.
You know, rich people don't get the crabs. They get the lobsters.
That's correct. Sea spiders. But anyway, what ended up happening was
Back to the gutter.
That's how I became so into this. So what happened was I found out that there were 45,000 people at Revere Beach on July 12th, but it was because it was a major heat wave that every beach in the Northeast had tens of thousands of people there. Revere Beach was enormous, so you could fit 40,000 people. In fact, there was a report that said they did a count from, I don't know how, but there were 4,000 people in the water at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about 4,000 people, what that looks like. You know, I mean, you know, Boston Garden holds 17 for a hockey game.
Right.
So that's like 1/4 of that crowd. We're all in the water between Elliott
There's a
Circle
lot of
and-
pictures of that, actually, with the women. They were practically wearing burqas in those days.
and they couldn't, it was illegal for
Well,
the men.
The way they were dressed.
The men, all the way up to the 1930s, you couldn't expose your chest.
A
You had
man?
a man couldn't. They arrested 3 guys on the boulevard in the 1930s because they crossed the street and they had their tops of their bathing suit down.
Wow.
You'd be in prison right now, Joe,
Why is that?
because you're always showing your guns.
And you'd be trying to get in prison.
Down, down, down.
Poor Louis. Every time he comes, he has to deal with this.
Me, it's not just because I come.
No,
I
but-
watch the show and I see you two.
But if it's a something, it goes into the gutter within 5 minutes with Johnny. I don't know what happens. with him.
Now, Lou,
Yes, sir.
My father worked for a little bit at the Ebb Tide. Do you remember the Ebb Tide?
Oh, yeah.
Being a historian,
Owned by Richard Costucci.
Yes.
I remember. In fact, there was my mother was younger, and she was backing her car, and she backed it into his Cadillac. So she went inside, and she said, I backed into that Cadillac. They said, what? And so the owner came out, and he looked. He goes, oh, don't worry about it. He goes, it's not even a mark on it. He said, don't worry about it. So she went home, and my grandfather goes, you went in the Ebb Tide? You went in the Ebb Tide? What's wrong with you?
and look at the famous groups that played at the Ebb Tide. Aerosmith played
Started
there.
off there.
Yep.
Do you remember the Barbarians?
Yeah. Chuck
Yeah.
Berry played there too.
Chuck Berry.
Yep.
Yeah, they played there. It was as somebody said, they were kind of trying to give it these funny names to try and take away from what it actually was, you know. And so it's the Ebb Tide. Everybody knows what the Ebb Tide was, but like in the summer of '68, they called it the Beach Ball Lounge or something.
That's right, the Beach Ball.
And then
yeah.
they called it Scarborough Fair in '73 when Aerosmith played.
Right.
There's actually a poster on the inside of the Aerosmith biography, and it's Scarborough Fair at Revere Beach.
Wow.
Joe Sheffrell told me he used to be the house band there
At the Ebb Tide.
at the Ebb Tide. He said he opened up for Aerosmith. Nobody knew who Aerosmith was, but
No.
he did say that you could see they had something special.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
Joe
they-
told
My
me.
father was a chef there.
Your dad?
Really?
My father was a chef there.
Really?
And
Does
I'm
he have any
telling you-
photos?
No,
Do you have any photos?
I don't.
You disappoint me, Johnny.
I'm sorry.
John,
So
But
that
my-
means Johnny
but-
could have dreamt this whole
No,
thing
but
up.
no, it's just true.
Well,
so my father, listen to this.
did we land on the moon?
This is
Did his father really work there? I mean,
It's all
No,
hearsay. It's all hearsay.
All right. Well, let me just tell you a couple of things that my father told me, Lou, and I'll never forget. So the boys, the wise guys, owned the Ebb Tide, and my father, they'd come in and they'd say, Don Carlos, a couple of guys here, you know, there's 2 guys, and make them whatever they want, you make them. And my father would come back out and he'd make them all these exotic, because he was a phenomenal chef. And then the next day you read in the paper, the 2 guys found in a trunk. It was their last supper.
It's a good they didn't blame your father for poisoning them.
Oh,
but you know
Joe.
something? Growing up in Revere, like I was on, like my father would, and believe me, my father was not connected, unless he was, and just people never told me. But he was the nicest guy. He'd be like, we're gonna go to my grandmother's at Revere Street, right? So it was like, come on, we're gonna go up the corner. So we'd go in the Orioles, and he'd like sit me down. He'd give me like, get me a Coke. There was no Diet Coke. He'd give
Shirley
me a
Temple. Give me
Coke,
Shirley
a
Temple.
Coke from behind the bar.
Yeah.
So I remember, the bartender, Junie Bell, is my father's friend. Yeah, Junie, get him a Coke. So he gives me a Coke. I sit down. One of my father's friends comes walking over, throws a pack of cards down. Come on, little Spag, play gin to 100. So I'd be playing. This other guy comes walking over. He's looking at me, starts like flicking my ear. I turn around. He hands me some cheese and crackers, right? And so afterwards, I go home and I tell my mother. And my mother goes, who was he playing cards with? And my father told him. So afterwards, my mother goes, yeah, you were playing cards with hitmen. You were 5 years old.
Wow.
They had wingtips and they wore suits. They were, but then we'd go across the street because there was Chubby's little, the little, what do you call it? The little, you walk in the diner, right? He'd sit me down, get him a cheeseburger. He'd knock on the door. The little thing at the top would open up. Oh, Johnny Spag, come on in. And he'd go make the bets.
Mm-hmm. Now, Johnny, did your father ever tell you any stories about the ebb tide?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give it a couple. One time they had a double freezer there.
Yep.
The walk-in freezer. They had a walk-in, and then they had another walk-in.
Right.
And he said to me, he goes, one time, I went into the double freezer, and there was a guy on a hook.
No, sir.
I'm telling you, these are true
They
stories.
put that in Goodfellas.
And I'm thinking,
Frankie Carbone.
This is he told me these stories way before the.
Oh, I'm sure. No, of course it was way
Goodfellas.
before, but I'm
way
saying
before.
that's a
Yeah.
true story.
So
He almost freaked out. Barboza loved my father.
Yep.
And he would be the one kind of, hey, Don Carlo, make the, how you doing? And the next
That
day,
was his
put me in
stomping
the-
ground.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my father's a great cook.
What year was he there, Johnny, with the time frame?
All I know is, I'll tell you, I could give you an estimate. It was before the NFL. Remember he had the AFL? Because my father knew nothing about football. All he ever cared about was Tony Conigliaro. It's all he cared about.
Tony C.
Yeah, how did Tony Conigliaro do? How did Tony Conigliaro do? That's what he called him, Tony Conigliaro. And so, but then a lot, I'm not going to mention any names. But I know the names. They'd come in and they'd bag the names. And the thing is, he'd come home with all these autographs for me. And my father had he knew none of these players.
Right.
But he'd come home and I'd have him, this one, and it was the AFL.
Right.
It was called
Did
the
you
Boston
spend any time at
Patriots.
the ebb tide?
I went there a couple of times. Just went in briefly.
Yeah.
But oh my God, he did all the shopping, because he was the chef. He did all the
Oh,
shopping.
yeah, sure.
And it was it was crazy times. But the story, if my father was alive, the stories he could tell, unbelievable.
So basically, there's no way I'll be able to post this and talk. I'm thinking, yeah, this will be good. I can share this and I can, because of the Revere Beach thing. And then I'm like, yeah, and then they're talking about killing people and hanging them on hooks. I'm talking about my father took me into the club and got me a burger. And you're talking about, this guy, they gave him the Last Supper and they hung him on a hook. Yeah.
I know, but your mom's saying you playing cards with hitmen at 5 years old doesn't matter.
Well, there was no blood. It was just what they did.
There was no blood when he was hanging on the hook.
That was this thing that they did.
It's a historical beach, and
The ebb tide was what it was, and Revere Beach was what's
it's a known, it's worldwide, nationwide known.
Do you know who the drummer was of the Barbarians?
No, but I want to know.
Multi. His name was Multi.
Johnny added to his toy.
Yeah.
He added some wings.
I'm going to call him Pigpen over there in the corner with all the
Seriously.
crap he's got in the corner.
I mean, is it
Unbelievable.
Is it a crayon?
Don't break that. Johnny needs that for later.
Is it a sex toy? I mean, come
That's
on.
what I was referring to.
It's like one of the Bezos missiles there.
Take that away.
Yeah.
Put that away.
Look at this. Look at all the women.
So-
all the women watching.
So
Going,
yes,
"Ooh,
anyway.
Johnny, does it vibrate?"
There we go. Right into the gutter again.
Yeah. Blue, what year did they bring in the amusements?
So around 1900 was when there was all of a sudden dance hall came, and there was another dance hall, and then it was about 1901 when the first roller coaster opened up, and it wasn't the Cyclone. It was just a centrifugal loop that where you basically centrifugal forced it to speed, and then it went around a loop, and it was kind of dangerous. It only lasted a couple of years, but. It's funny that they had roller coasters on that same site of the Cyclone. They just had a couple before it.
Right.
And
They had the Mickey Mouse. too.
Mousetrap.
Mickey
No,
Mouse.
the Wild
was called
Mouse. The Wild Mouse.
The wild,
Wild-
yeah,
Wild
the,
Mouse? I
the
know-
Wild
it
Mouse.
It wasn't the Mousetrap?
No.
No, the Wild Mouse was right after the where the Cyclone was. Then there was the Wild Mouse.
Yeah.
That was also where the first Bianchi's was. There
Right,
was a little
underneath the
stand
little
on the-
pill box.
Yeah, the little white
pill
box.
underneath the Wild Mouse.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy.
I remember. Yeah, it was great.
Joey, Billy is here.
Imagine this.
Where?
Now the big long pier. What was?
All right, so now that's another thing that there's a lot of people talk about the pier, right? So there was the dance hall. Look, if you go in Domeno's, in Revere.
Yeah.
Little shout out to Lenny Domeno, my pal.
Yep.
You go in Domeno's, they have a huge photo of it, or a painting, whatever. And it's that was the that pier was built in 1911. There was actually a pier called the Great Ocean Pier that was built in
Beachmont.
1881.
One
And
on fire.
that was the well, no, believe it or not, that's why people always mess the two things up. Great Ocean Pier was 1881. It was 1,700 feet, went all the way out into the water.
That's where Simpson's
Right.
Pier.
Near where Simpsons
Right.
was. It went straight out. If you look at where the breakers are now, the breakers follows exactly where the Great Ocean Pier was.
Yes, yep.
And then you could still see stubs
Stubbs.
that are there now.
Yes. That was the great. There was a dance hall.
Now,
So
how long?
It was
how
a
long
skating
was that?
rink, a dance. It was 1,700 feet. It went out into the water.
Yep.
And so then
And it was 22 feet wide, right?
It-
It,
it-
wasn't like a little tiny little thing.
It was
Oh,
actually
this is a dance hall.
no, it was
No,
actually
I'm talking
twice
about the
that.
pier. The
Oh,
pier.
pier.
I'm talking about something.
It was wider than that. I think
Yeah.
the one after that everyone confuses that came down. They broke the pier up and they kept the main building, but then the main building came down in a storm in 1898. So that was down. 1911 they built the other one. It was Brown's Pier and then later called Holt's Pier.
Holtz. Yep.
Okay, so the Holt family bought the pier in 1924, and they kept it until it burned down in 39. Then they put up a small boathouse that was Holt's Pier up until the 60s. Then Simpson's Pier was next to it. That's where you
Right.
rented the boats from, right? And then sometime in the 80s, I think a storm just took it down,
Yeah.
washed it away.
Simpsons. But they used to. A lot of the older kids used to jump off Simpson's Pier and
I actually have a photo of a bunch of Beachmont kids
Yep.
jumping off of
Yep.
it, which is a great photo.
I seen that photo. Was that on your page?
I put it on, a while back. I mean, that was what Revere Beach was, though, back
Yeah.
then. Because if you remember, like, when you're a few years older than me, but we suffered the same kind of fate with Revere Beach. It was falling apart.
Yep.
In the 70s, 78, everybody thinks that the blizzard of 78 washed everything away, and that's not what happened. The Nautical got ruined. The Frolic got ruined.
Right.
But they could have fixed them. What happened was, it was one of those fates that nobody would even believe. The state took the land by eminent domain on February 3rd, 1978. And 3 days later, we had the blizzard of the century that destroyed the buildings. But people don't realize there were amusements that were open in the summer of 78. They just had to give them up when the date came. It was like at the end of the summer in September. The state took the land, and that was it. Now, if you look, all that land between Beach Street and the MDC police station is all empty. It hasn't been built upon since
Right.
then.
Right.
Now, Lou, do you have any knowledge about the original Frolics that was on Ocean Ave? Not the Frolic that you remember on the beach. That was a Frolic. There was the original Frolics was on the Ocean Ave side.
I'll have to look that up.
Where Vinny DeCesary's building is. You know, the ship building.
That was the Frolics and not the...
It was right over that area. Yeah.
near the surf you're talking about?
No,
surf, there you
the
go,
surf
the
is
surf.
that's in Beachmont.
No. The surf...
The surf was in the Beachmont Circle area.
No, the surf was where
surf-
Vinny's building is, because the surf, it was
The surf strip club you're talking
yeah,
about?
the
No,
Excuse Me
no.
Lounge.
Beachmont Circle, where Charlie built the big beach, the big green building now. That's where the surf was.
Well, him and Vinny built that
Yes,
together.
yes.
That's what I thought you were talking. Oh, you're talking...
The boat up the
You're
street owned by
talking
Vinny's family.
Vinny's other family.
Yes, that's where I think the original Frolics
Where,
was.
where MGH is.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Yes, yes.
That's where it is.
Could've
Okay,
just
yeah.
said MGH.
The beginning of the beach.
Well, it's because Vinny owns two buildings.
Yeah, right.
you know?
At the beginning of the beach,
Yeah,
where the rotary is, right across,
is where the surf was.
that's where the surf was.
And the Excuse
That's
Me
where the
Lounge.
surf- yeah.
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 Now, talk about this for a second, though. So being a historian, some of the talent that started out, Barbara Streisand
Frolic.
played at the Frolic.
Streisand was a kid, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, my uncle met her. He said, somebody, he goes, oh, yeah, so-and-so had her. And he said, oh, he goes, Dudu, I want you to meet this. Her name's Barbara. She's going to be great. And, yeah, she was. But
There was a guy that used to go into the Continental. Older guy, had a Cadillac, a license plate. It might have been even the Frolic. But he took me to his car one time, opened his trunk up. He had all the contracts of all those people, Streisand. He goes,
What
look
the
at
hell
this.
were they doing in his trunk?
Because he was no. I think he
Who
owned
was,
it.
was it Joe?
I think he owned it.
Was it
He
Joe?
was a historian, I guess.
Put him in a safe.
was it
at least,
Della
at least they didn't have the bodies in the trunk. That's
Louis, was it Della Russo that owned the Frolics?
Possibly. I got to look that up. I
But
have that.
what
at
I
home.
want you to do, Louis, because I want to know where specifically the original Frolics was. I know there was another Frolics on the boulevard next to Anna's in that area.
Right.
The original was on the other street where the MGH is.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up.
I'm curious. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost 99. I'm 100% positive.
Now, how well do you know Vinny DeCesare?
Very pretty well, and I know him for a long time. I don't know him.
You know, it's funny because
best friends, but
my parents got married, and they had a deal that they were going to move into my father's cousin's house, and he screwed them. He said, "Oh yeah, you can't have it." So now they're hustling. They're trying to find, and they ended up being there was an ad, so they went by to see it, and so Vinny's dad comes out, and that was where my parents moved in, and so I was born. My first year, I lived downstairs from the DeCesaries, and they were my parents' best friends, and I get together every so often. I'll go
there's
by
Tony
see
and Freddie.
Tony, Freddie, Vinny, and God rest her soul, Gail, the youngest sister.
I remember her. She worked for them at
She was
the
a
at the
sweetheart.
auto body shop.
Yep, sweetheart. She used to babysit me, in fact.
Yeah, Tony used to
Yeah.
come to the Continental and see us, Billy. When
all
we
the time. Yeah,
Yeah,
he used
you
to
remember
come all
Tony?
the
I
time,
saw him
yeah.
in there. I
And
had
I
a
went-
drink with him once when you guys were singing.
Yeah.
up
Yep.
there.
Tony came all the time, and I went to school. I graduated with Freddie.
Freddie.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
They
so-
did well. They did very well. The family. But Vinny's a smart, sharp guy.
Oh yeah.
Very
He's-
sharp kid. So that's what I was curious about. If the Frolic, if you have any information on the exact location, I've always been confused about the exact location on the Frolics.
So if you go down Revere Beach, you're heading down towards where the police station is. If you look to the left, there's a paved piece, and then there's some concrete stairs. Those stairs were right after. So here's the nautical. The stairs are right here, and here's where the Frolic was. So if you look at those stairs, about this distance away, that's where the nautical was here, and then the Frolic was next to it.
Yes, but that's the one you're talking about on the boulevard, current boulevard.
Yeah. Now the other one, I'll
the
find you.
original, I want to know where it was. If you could research that,
I will. Yeah.
I'm curious because I believe, almost positive that was.
I never met a rabbit hole I didn't like, except the ones that are in my backyard. right
the
now.
Johnny just opened up another hole for Johnny to talk.
So Rodney Dangerfield, he played the Frolic many times.
Sammy Davis,
Did Sammy Davis play
Al
there?
Martino,
Al
Jerry
Martino,
Veal.
Yep, I know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jerry Vale I knew about.
Yeah, I opened up for Jerry Veal. Not a nice guy.
Pasquale Gabu.
I heard
Really?
he was a bastard.
Not a nice guy.
No,
Come on, spill a tea. What happened?
So I opened up from the South Shore Music Circus, and so we're standing there, Jerry, myself, and the guy that was the booking agent, and he was giving the checks out now. So the guy was close to me, and Jerry was over here to my right, and I just grabbed this check to hand it to him. I just wanted to hand. It was in an envelope. Don't you ever touch my check?
come on, Jerry Veal.
Yeah.
See what I
And
mean?
I went sorry. I'm just trying to help you out.
See, that aggravates me.
Yeah.
And we look up to these guys because they're singers and they're beautiful vocals, and but you hear these kind of stories.
I heard a lot of, and I've told that story to some other old time people in the business. They said, "Oh yeah, he wasn't a good guy."
Did you ever hear about Jimmy Roselli?
No.
No. He played at the Surf, and I was a little boy. Right around, I can remember this distinctly. My parents took me with my aunt, and it was Jimmy Roselli was playing at the Surf, and I didn't know who he was. Of course, I was a kid, but it was right around the time when Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, 1968. I think I believe. Look it up, Billy, if you want. June of 1968, I think Bobby
Yeah,
Kennedy was
I think
killed.
It was June 5th. I think.
June 5th. Well, how'd you know that?
He was there.
He was on the moon too.
I was going to go there, but you beat me to it.
So no, it's fascinating stuff, Louis, because I love history, and I know Johnny does, Billy does. So it's interesting stuff, especially where we grew up, the historical. Now, what else do you know about beside the beach? What else you know about the city itself when it broke off from Chelsea?
Well, the city itself,
Established.
yeah. My joke about I always say, if you go to Marblehead, you can see the beautiful old houses with the plaques. And if you go to Revere, whatever is left of an old house, if it didn't burn down, it has vinyl siding on it.
Yeah. True.
But, yeah, you know what, though, all kidding aside, I mean, we became a town. We broke off from Chelsea, 1871.
Yep.
We became a town. But we went. It's kind of funny. I actually think about this. So North Chelsea let Revere and Winthrop go, right?
They owned Winthrop too?
Take a look though on a map.
I never knew that.
Take a look at a map, right? And they kept what they have, and they gave up. They literally gave up 6 miles of oceanfront property.
So there was corrupt politicians
They had
even
the
back
Chelsea
then.
Creek. Come on, what more do you want?
Yeah,
Why would they need the ocean?
I mean,
Right.
seriously though, like think about it. If you look at a map from Winthrop, Short Beach, Revere Beach,
Yep.
the
Wow.
Pines, all was part of Chelsea.
Chelsea. Good job, Chelsea.
That's
Good
amazing.
job, Chelsea.
I wonder who got paid off for that.
Wow.
That was a worse trade than what the
Something.
Bruins or Celtics ever pulled off.
Wow.
It is amazing though, Louis, because when growing up in Revere like we did, and Johnny even in East Boston had Shades Beach. So you think about it, we had Revere Beach, Short Beach, Shades Beach, Point of Pines. Not many people grew up. I mean, not many, but there's a lot of people that grew up in the burbs that used to drive for hours and to get to the beach. We had it right there.
That was the thing, though, and it's kind of funny.
We took it for granted.
We really do have a great beach because
Oh yeah,
it's not. You can always go and say whatever you want about it. People can get mad about the building down there. They can get mad about the traffic, and they're great points to argue. It actually, there's no argument. It's terrible. That part is terrible.
Yep.
But when you really think about it, especially when we were young, the food that was down there, Danny's, Rudolph's.
Danny's, I forgot about Danny's.
Yeah.
Rudolph's, yeah.
Rudolph's pepper steak. Danny's had great everything.
Danny's had everything. Yep.
Yeah, but and then for pizza, everyone loves Bianchi's, but Bill Asher's was great. Anna's was great.
Was there a Joe Nemo's there?
Joe and Nemo's was down there.
Were they?
Yep.
I thought they were East Boston.
No, they were down by near the Wild Mouse. In fact, they had a few locations, but
Yeah.
Were there one in East Boston, Johnny?
Yes, there was. You know where Santapio's is?
Yeah.
Right across the street on the corner.
it was Joe and Nemo's.
It was Joe and Nemo's.
What a time.
We had,
Amazing.
and Kelly's. You can say what you want about them, whether they overrated, gone down, whatever, but they were great. And you can say,
I still think they're good.
yeah.
You know-
I don't have a bad word to say about
I
them.
don't
I
either.
love the food. I mean,
the best
but
roast
people,
beef in
people
Revere?
like to complain.
No question.
Best roast beef in Revere, Mal's
roast beef was
Remember
unbelievable.
Val, Mal's roast
Oh
beef?
man, right
Did
down
you
the street.
remember-
I used to walk there.
But I
lived on
gotta say-
Patriot Parkway, so I
but
lived right.
Oh, is that what
Oh,
you're?
I'm so-
Oh,
oh.
wasn't
I don't
that
know.
the best?
Best.
We used to go there
Beachmont roast
every
beef, I have to
Saturday,
say,
Billy.
was,
Mal's roast
In
beef.
its day.
Yeah.
In its day, Beachmont Roast
Beachmont
was
roast beef
spectacular.
couldn't be beaten,
What
I
was the
didn't think.
place on Ocean Ave?
What?
It was behind. Was it Danny's behind?
There was
the-
another Danny's.
Danny's behind the beach.
Yeah, do you remember it was
The pepper steak, the steak and
I'm
cheese.
trying to think. It was like one of those buildings, though.
I think it was Danny's.
It's definitely
Where the
Danny's.
buildings are on
It was
Ocean Ave.
over
Okay.
by where there was an old skating rink that was there, where that
Yes, it was
smokestack
a
was.
rollerblading rink.
So the smokestack that was there, that had to do with the washing of the bathing suits at the beach house.
Yeah.
So they tore the beach house down. That thing was still there, and then that came down, the smokestack eventually. But that was where that Danny's was. It was in like 85, 86, around then.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that
Early
was
to
the
mid-'80s.
second location.
Wow.
And then that was it.
And that was the end of that. The steak and cheeses were phenomenal at
yeah.
Danny's.
Oh, without a doubt.
Now-
Without a doubt.
So just I know you're a historian. What do you think of Revere Beach now, currently, the way it's evolved? I mean, it's like something. It seems like every time you drive by there, there's another building you didn't notice.
Well,
You
I
go,
don't.
"Oh my
Nobody's
God."
going to be happy about it. I mean, I'll say this. As somebody that, if you want to just kind of go with the flow and say, well, I go down there. Drift is a good bar. They have that fine line. The pizza in there. You have Mission on the beach is good. They've at least given a mixed use. The Kowloon moved down there.
Right.
All right. So, just looking at it, the mixed use purpose. Do I like it? Yeah. Is the beach to my liking? Do I think they should have built all that stuff down there and ruined it with traffic, made Ocean Ave one lane at the end? No, they were all ideas I didn't agree with. But It's never been cleaner, the sand. You remember how filthy that beach was when we were kids?
God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
The DCR is doing a really good job of keeping it clean. You know, and that's why I say, you know, I kind of look at it. You got to look at it from the whole lens, not just from your own focus. I think, you know, it's better than it's been in a long time.
But Lou, would you agree if the politicians in the 40s, 50s even had some foresight that Revere Beach could have been bigger and better than the Seaport in Boston?
You know what? They were going to do that, you know.
Should have been bigger
No, I'll tell
than
you.
the Seaport.
So there was
3 miles.
There were people, there were financial people were putting in, and I have the article. It was in the Journal, and I have the print of what I wish I sent it. The print of what it was supposed to look like was supposed to be like basically a seaport for places to
would've been
to
good.
have a pier. It was going to have buildings. It was going to have businesses. It was going to be commercial stuff, and it would have looked like that.
Oh, God.
But you
The
know what?
potential was insane.
There was what ended up happening, and you know, I'm not going to turn this into a political forum because you know whether you like people or not.
Right.
But Colella was the mayor in the late '60s, and they went through this whole thing with the urban renewal. They took all of the land on Ocean Ave. They were trying to take the land over in Oak Island, and it went bad. And he ended up losing the election from it because
To Reinstein.
to Reinstein, yeah, because it was one of those things where it was too much, too fast, and you know, when you piss off residents that at that amount,
But-
it's going to cost you an election. But the whole thing was they were trying to do something, and okay, I think kicking people out of their own neighborhood is not a good thing, but if you look at what they were trying to do, yeah, had they done that,
But prior to Colella, 40s, the 30s even, they didn't have any
slide was starting.
foresight.
the slide was starting. If you look at photos from the 50s, it actually still looks pretty. The buildings hadn't fallen down. There were a lot of good places. There were still the dance halls. And then a few fires started. You know, like the beginning of the beach was the Ocean View Lounge. That burned down 59. The other one, the Beach View, which was Crescent Gardens, burned down in 1960. Then there was another fire that happened. And so what they did, instead of replacing dance halls with other majestically nice buildings, is what do? Well, you throw up the strip mall mentality, or, you know.
But the thing is, though, that was 3 miles of gorgeous, gorgeous beachfront. There could have been Del Frisco's, Abe and Louie's.
100%.
You know what I mean? Smith and Walensky's. It could have been bigger than the Seaport, Johnny.
Well, should have
Bigger.
been.
Should have been.
Should have been.
And that's sad.
But the thing is, they have always had this mentality, and this isn't any one mayor. This isn't any one city council.
No one's blaming anybody
They
specifically.
have had this thing back at probably the 50s and the 60s that they didn't want people coming into the city and using the beach. They didn't want it. They almost wanted it that we'd rather have it be that, yeah, let's
Residents.
put up a thing with, you know, residents. And,
Yeah.
the initial thing was actually when Charles Elliott had the idea for the whole sweeping beach with no buildings on it. He didn't actually want to see residents living on like Revere Beach, I don't believe. Now, that's not to say that the people that live there aren't entitled. Of course you are. And, you know, if you ask me, well, would you like a residence down Revere Beach? Sure, if I could afford it. I wouldn't rent an apartment. But if I could buy a house, or I could buy, I don't know, a condo on the, 16th floor looking over, sure, I'd love it. But I can't.
Well, the St. George's is still a beautiful building. It's probably one of the nicest buildings down
Which
there.
one? The pink one?
Pinkwood. That was
Oh,
after.
that's
Wasn't
okay.
that named after George Colella?
Yeah.
Now, I had heard years ago when they were building all these big luxury apartment buildings that Revere thought that gambling was going to be legalized,
yeah.
and they were going to turn a lot of
Yeah, I
these buildings
heard
into
that.
Now
like
you're
casinos.
talking, like 15 years ago that you were talking about.
No, longer than that.
Longer
No,
than
no,
that,
but
yeah.
I mean when Rizzo was mayor, I'm
Yes.
saying they were talking about Suffolk Downs. They were talking about the opportunity to do a few things. I mean, that was. I kind of look at Suffolk Downs. If you've been to Market Street in Linfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Market Street is a perfect location. I mean, Pleasure Island was on the other side of it back in 1960s. You have 128 right in front of it. You couldn't have asked for better access roads and points, and they set it up perfectly. Suffolk Downs, I mean, how the hell are you going to get people in and out of there if you would turn that into like a
Yeah,
market street?
But Lou, they're doing it in Everett at Encore.
Well, they don't care though. 99 is at least a 4-lane
You don't
road.
believe that the Encore would have been a better location at Suffolk Downs than where it is right now in Everett?
No.
Oh, come on. I disagree.
No, I personally,
Well, this is
always
opinion.
thought,
I disagree.
in my opinion, in this whole situation, is I thought that they were going to actually put the casinos on the beach. If they took down those buildings that look like prisons,
Oh.
and
Carabetta.
and, you know what I mean? Yeah. If they took
There
down
are a couple, yeah.
yeah, there's
Prisons.
There's 3 or 4 of them buildings in a row.
Carabetta from
I mean,
Connecticut.
and they're set back, which would have been perfect for that. If they took those down, it would have been perfect for one casino, maybe 2 casinos. And you've got the ability to come in by water, by train,
Yep.
by taxi, by bus,
Well,
whatever. You had all those areas to be able, and you're right there at the airport.
I keep hearing that they want to build a pier again, and I've always said like that. You know, this you're looking at the 1880s that they had the Great Ocean Pier, and I'm thinking that would have been the place, the kind of thing. You had steamers bringing people in,
Right.
and you could have put a casino on something like that. I don't know why they don't build something like that. Whether it's in the middle, straight off of where the police station is, because you have a parking garage on the other side, or you do it at the beginning where Elliott Circle is. But do something. Take advantage of it and have it so that, like, I go to Lynn, I take the ferry into Boston. Why not have a ferry out of Revere?
Are you familiar with
exactly. That was my thing. I said this 15 years ago.
We don't
if
even
they're
have the,
going to
you
do
know-
that, they're talking casino. I mean, they should have just allowed that to happen. Instead, they went to Suffolk Downs. They went to Everett. It's just. And it's out of the way. To me, it's out of the way on 99. I don't.
I agree with you. In my opinion, if they were going to do a casino on Revere Beach, I don't even think that location would have been the spot, Billy, where the Carabetta prisons are. I think it would have been nicer on the boulevard itself.
But you don't have.
Well-
we don't have the road structure. The
No, that's
infrastructure is
true.
Terrible.
See, that's the thing. I think if they did decide to do the casinos, right, they could have done away with Ocean Ave. And everything could have went by the beach. They could have widened that out, made it really look really cool. And then you have beachfront property and the casino. That whole area would have been all, it just would have been more accessible.
There was so much potential.
So, yeah, way more accessible. And like I said, you got Wonderland, you got Revere Beach Station, you got the ferry. You've got
Beachfront Station.
Yeah, everything's was right there. It was just whoever the politicians were at the time, stupid mistake.
It wasn't only the politicians, Billy, because I have a little insight on the Revere location. Steve Wynn wanted to go. Did you ever meet Steve Wynn, Johnny?
No,
in Vegas?
never did.
Steve Wynn wanted to be in Revere. He approached the owner of Suffolk Downs, which was a man by the name of Richard Fields. Richard
right.
Fields told Steve Wynn to screw off. He thought he had it locked. Wherever Wynn was going, that was where it's going. So in
Now,
other words,
he was from Revere, wasn't he?
for a brief time.
Okay.
Then he moved to Connecticut, New York, whatever. But yes, there was a brief time he was in Revere. But Steve Wynn absolutely approached Rich Fields. Rich Fields told him to screw.
Why?
He wanted to go it alone. Rich Fields actually had a lawsuit with Trump back in the day, and he's from New York. You know that, right, Louis? Rich Fields is from New York. Anyway, to make a long story short, wherever Steve Wynn was going, he was getting the permits. That's it. So he went when Rich Fields told him to beat it in Revere, he went to Everett, and look what happened. There was no way around it. You weren't going to beat Steve Wynn.
Money talks.
You weren't going to beat. Well, Rich Fields wasn't broke either, but not on the level.
But when someone wants to do something, I mean, you just okay. You don't want it here, then I'm going to go there. I mean,
But the name
Yeah.
alone.
And then of course they had to come out with all the dirt on Steve Wynn, so we had to take his name off.
His name off it.
The name and put Encore on it. It's just again. And that's probably all because of what you just said. He said screw.
Well,
and then
someone
Steve
best
Wynn said,
sabotaged
I'll
him.
take care of that.
Somebody sabotaged him
So,
for sure.
of
But
course.
Yeah, no doubt.
His
No.
You know
ex-wife.
what, though? If you
Yeah.
look at it, though, right?
Yep.
And this is kind of funny. I mentioned the infrastructure, right? So you got a beach, and then you got Ocean Ave that really takes you nowhere. It just takes you to what? Revere Beach
Street.
Parkway.
Yeah.
Or Revere Street.
Yeah, that's it.
So, in other words, they're not main roads,
Right.
right? It's like you got capillaries taking the blood to more capillaries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I look at like like Washburn, for instance, right? It's a little street.
Mm-hmm.
And then on one side of it is Bennington. On the other side is a horse track.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, all right, well, there's no outlet really because Bennington takes you nowhere. At the end of Bennington Street, you get to the intersection where Saratoga is. You got to go around a little rotary, go by 2 hotels, and then just to get out onto 1A. So there's no real direct route out there. Then you look Revere Beach Parkway. It's a main road, but how main is it really if you think about it? It's residential on both sides. So you got a horse track right there. You replace it with a casino. Doesn't really work the way people think it does.
Well, that's what Rich Fields was hoping. He was hoping to keep the horse racing along with the casino, and that was a pipe dream.
Well, we could have, when it comes to casino, where there's a will, there's a way. Like he could have got slots probably, or you could have done something to still make casino happen. I mean, what is it? Okay, so Everett has it. That means no one else can have it. It doesn't always work that way.
No, but I think that if they made it work in Everett, Lou, I think Revere would have been a perfect. I think they could have worked it out.
I think Revere would have been a better location.
Much better.
Much better location.
Much
like
better.
I said, more accessible.
But they needed more things, though. I think they would have needed, had they built a pier and you have water traffic, and then other ways in. I mean, I realize we have an airport right there. That's the one thing about that casino that if you said, okay, if you put a casino and major entertainment center and you stuck that right where Suffolk Downs is, you would have had to make some major improvements to 1A.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Which they were going to do.
Right. So you widen 1A and you make an access route that goes to the airport. Well, now you're talking because now you have something in position there.
Right.
But an access road from 1A that takes you, like, it is pretty good. Once you get past, what is that, Starbucks there, the intersection.
Yeah, that's
that's where all of a sudden.
Boardman Street.
Yeah. And now you really get going. It's wide. You got stay to the right for the airport, stay to the left, you get the Ted Williams Tunnel. You got it is pretty good over there for access. Yeah. So I'm just saying, though, I don't think it was the best location to put a casino.
No, but neither was Everett, though.
I didn't like Everett either. I didn't think that was a good one.
My point is, wherever Steve Wynn wanted, he was getting it. That's just the way it was. You had Governor Weld pushing for him. You had all the former politicians lobbying for. Steve Wynn is a very powerful man. I heard he's blind right now, isn't he?
I don't know. So let me just say this. First of all, what a great conversation we're having here. I just want to ask Lou a little bit about your group, where you're going to be playing, because I think there's going to be people out there wanting to know where they can see you perform.
Well, I don't know if they want to see me. I don't know if they
want to hear you. They want
to do both. So where are you this
week? My line, I have a face for radio. I have a voice for newspaper. But I kid.
Yeah.
I joke,
Yeah.
So we do have the Kowloon on August 7th. Bobby Wong will be happy about that to hear. We're
August 7th, right? That's
August
a Thursday
7th. It's a
night.
Friday night.
Friday night.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we also have we got a bunch of gigs coming up. Like in Newburyport, they do the Yankee Homecoming Festival. That's on Friday, July 31st. It's Waterfront Park, right next to the Black Cow.
Oh yeah.
And so that's last year there were 5,000 people.
Wow.
It was bananas.
So the tickets are available for the Kowloon where at the
So
at
Kowloon's
Kowloon?
on the website. Yeah, you'd basically do it like a takeout order, or you can call and get them over the phone. So
Okay.
that one.
What are those running these
they're
days?
$10.
$10. That's it.
That's it.
So that's August 10th, you said?
That's
No,
August 7th.
7th at the Kowloon.
Yes.
Anybody who hasn't seen this group,
I'm going. I'm taking Christina. She's going.
I advise anybody who has not
Yes.
seen them, I'd like to be there.
Well,
Hopefully.
I'm going to come right
You
after
have to come.
Giggles. Right after Giggles, I'm coming over.
You come. Who
yeah.
you playing with?
That night there, I really don't know. I come
Is
back
Gilligan
from
on
Vegas.
it?
I come back from Vegas, working in Vegas.
Tell-
on
where's
August
Gilligan?
6th. We'll get Gilligan there.
Gilligan, you get there.
We love you,
Has
Paulie.
Gilly been there before? Been to
Oh
see
yeah,
them?
I've seen him.
Yeah.
He loves it. Oh God, he loves it.
Well, Gilly's an old rock and roller like us.
Yeah.
See, Johnny liked disco.
You know,
I like disco.
We gotta
too.
forgive
Shut
him
up,
for a few
yo.
things.
I hate it, Louis. When I
90
was in high school, you were. What year did you graduate?
I was 86, so I was 6
Okay,
years
so I was.
behind you.
I graduated when I was in high school. If
You graduated, Joe?
I did.
Oh, wow.
Shocking, isn't it?
Yes.
There was no,
This was how I turned in my homework.
Hold
know
it to
what,
the
though?
camera.
This
He
is
did. He did. I saw his blank.
this is what I turned in for homework.
He didn't
I
put his
gotta
name
say
on
though,
it.
you know what though?
That's not a joke either.
Disco is a stupid name to stick on something because you know what happened? The vast majority of what they call disco.
I
right?
hated it.
But the vast
I still hate
majority
it.
of it is really, really great R&B.
Depends
No,
what.
no. But wait, but what happens with everything, right?
So we don't like R&B either.
I'm gonna give
I
you-
really don't.
I'm gonna give an example here. Van Halen came out, changed the world, and then a whole bunch of imitators followed that were not even close to them.
No, but who did Van Halen copy?
It didn't matter. Van Halen did it at the highest level.
Yes, they did.
They took stuff from Hendrix, from Zeppelin,
Yeah,
from Black
yeah,
Sabbath,
they
from
did.
Deep Purple, but they did it to the highest level.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Louis. The 70s was loaded with rock bands.
I know, but what I'm trying to say though is they spawned a bunch of imitators, and the problem.
Well, you could say
with,
that about every group.
No, but what I mean about disco though is disco is more the product of the bullshit that ends up like and
despise.
imitate what was like the OJs. People would call the OJs disco, and
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's R&B. That's
All
not
right,
disco.
if you want to get down, but you're going to tell me
Where did they get the word disco
Bee
from?
Gees,
I couldn't
though,
care
right?
less.
Discotheque.
Discotheque. Well, gee, that's. Let me get my pen.
Wow.
Hey, Louis.
Oh my God! Wake up, Walter Cronkite for that one.
Louis, all I'm saying is, growing up, I was into the Who, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith. When disco come out, there was a guy, a kid, he had it on his back. Back in those days, they had
Disco sucks.
no, forget that. This kid had disco as a communist plot to feminize America.
Oh, my
I
God.
swear to God.
You know what?
I will
though?
never forget that. He written on his back.
Casey and the Sunshine
Oh,
Band,
come on,
baby.
that's the way-
Shake, shake,
uh-huh.
shake. Did it?
Oh yeah, that's real
shake,
accomplished.
Shake, shake.
Real accomplished
But
stuff.
here's what
John.
I'm.
Booty.
Here's what I'm going to
guys.
say.
Oh, the horrible.
Here's what I'll say to
Horrible.
that. I'm going to tidy up right here.
Casey and the Bull.
Disco already existed before they stuck the name on it. There was already dance music, and it was pretty good stuff.
What stuff are you
right?
talking about?
In Europe.
Thelma Houston, Don't Leave Me This Way, right?
That was the disco era.
No, but it was a dance song that would have been R&B, but they stuck the label on it. And then stuff like KC 75. He wrote one hit after another. And I like it. I
was
do.
garbage,
but
though,
it was
Louis.
it was
Records.
product. It was just
was-
product.
I
was
know
what it
that.
So
was.
the thing is people wanted to dance.
I get it,
All right,
Billy.
you know, I mean, when you guys listen to rock and roll, and when I listen to rock and roll, that's what I wanted to listen. I
Yeah.
wanted to stand there, I wanted to watch, and I wanted to listen.
It was an experience.
Disco is a totally
But
different
how
thing.
can you how can you consider a disco beat accomplished music? Boom, 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 boom.
That's
no,
not
like
a,
I-
that's
but
not
like
a
I
disco
said,
beat.
though-
It isn't.
No, that's not disco.
No, but it was product though.
It was
because
pea soup, baby.
It was kind of. It was in a way. It was similar to today. It was formulated songwriting where you said, "All right, what do we need? The bass needs to go dun 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 dun."
There was some great bass lines. I
Yeah,
admit that.
but it all kind of followed the same thing. Disco kind of fit into this.
Yeah.
What the Bee Gees did for Saturday Night Fever, they wrote very intelligent songs. If
Oh,
you
yeah, they
listen
were
to them,
great.
those songs stand up the test of time. They got pigeonholed as a disco band, and I was like, you know what? The vast majority of those songs on that album were great songs, and they stood up over time. Like
But, Louis-
How Deep Is Your Love is a phenomenal
But
song.
when you talk
Right.
about people wanting to dance, Billy, you
Yeah,
said it.
yeah.
You couldn't. They were dancing to the Motown. They were dancing to the Beatles. They were dancing to the Stones.
Yeah, but it's a totally different kind of
yeah,
dancing.
that was much better music. But the disco era
The
was
disco
about
era was about couples dancing and all the fancy steps and all that stuff. You might hate it,
And
but the fact
hey.
of the matter is it was a market.
and cocaine and group sex.
right.
That was it. That's disco.
You know, that's what it was about.
Hey, look it. I'm not gonna argue. It was enormous.
And
it
it
was
put everybody,
massive.
every rock musician that I know from that era.
You're right.
They told me, they go, we basically were told, play disco or you're fired.
And if you want to think about it. Paul McCartney, "You Want to Love to Last Forever." That was a disco beat.
Yeah.
Rod Stewart, "If You Want My Body." The Stones,
They changed.
Miss
Yeah.
You" was a disco
Yeah,
song.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
well,
So
they,
they
were able
can't-
to change.
they-
You have to
they
change.
had
but,
to-
but let me say, though, disco, to that point, Rolling Stones wrote "Miss You" and "Emotional Rescue."
Yes.
but they stand up over time because they were well-written songs. They
But-
weren't product songs.
Look
But
at
Miss
David
You
Bowie.
Right.
Let's Dance.
Let's Dance. Yep.
Who
mean-
co-wrote it?
Don't know.
John Lennon.
Did he really?
Yeah.
David Bowie, though, he's in a class
Modern
by himself.
Love.
Bowie was 5 years ahead of every trend.
He was. He was good.
He was doing new wave before anyone knew what it was.
But Miss You definitely was a Rolling Stones attempt at disco. Coming out with Paul McCartney was definitely an attempt, and Rod Stewart, If You Love My
Well,
Body.
you gotta look at the
that's
timeline,
all
though. I
disco
mean,
attempts.
The thing was, though, disco was kind of dead by the time Rod did that song. I mean, when was it?
78?
It was pretty much dead at
I
that
don't-
point.
I don't
But
dis-
if you
I
want
dis-
my body, that
That
one?
was
Yeah,
78.
it was, but
I don't. I
seven-
think
yeah,
that was
but-
the peak, Louis. I disagree.
No, 75, 76, 77.
I think 78 it was
it's,
starting to die.
it's starting to trend
When
down.
did they do
And
Comiskey
Saturday Night Fever took it to another level.
Park?
was
Disco
70
is
that was
dead. Remember they were
78?
burning
Yeah.
the
Still
records?
took
I
it.
know. There you go, Louis. Johnny just come up with a good one.
What does
said
he got?
Saturday Night Fever.
That was 78.
Took it to another
So
level.
I don't think 78 disco was dying.
What? That wasn't in 78.
Yes, it was.
I thought it was
It
76.
might have been. I thought it was 77.
Yeah,
78. Look it up.
Let's look it up. Somebody's got to be the fact checker.
Yeah, we got to do that.
What year did Saturday Night Fever come out?
Well, I was going to Google
Look at
it,
Johnny's
but-
discreet.
He very discreet.
77.
All right, I was going to say so. I was
Yeah.
77.
So,
Yeah,
If you
so
look
wow,
at the top
Joey.
music.
I was almost
you
on.
were off.
One year.
No, you were actually 1 month. It was December.
Bingo.
Yeah, but the thing is, they started making it earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Right.
It came
I don't
out.
think Rod Stewart was too late with If You Want My Body.
No, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is,
But-
he didn't write it like. He just that was the music that was out.
You are
and
correct.
Rod always followed the trends that were hot at the time.
You are correct, though, because a year later come out with the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, the Plasmatics. Remember those guys?
Yes,
All punk rock.
77 was like
Punk rock took away disco,
the
I think.
Ramones. And,
I don't think it took away. It just changed
it.
It took people out of rock and,
And they
started
were a
going, and it was the kids went to the punk
well,
rock
punk
stuff.
was
Yeah.
a response to like the overbloated stadium tours because they were kind of like, it's not. I guess just to paraphrase, rock and roll was like the Rat. And then all of a sudden, you got these old pompous musicians playing in stadiums and charging ridiculous money, which was $11.50 for a ticket.
Still going on.
Yeah,
today.
go figure.
It's still going on today, though, Louis. Look at you can't get a Stones ticket for under $2,000 today.
Well, you know what?
Crazy.
A lot of that problem is Live Nation, and then a lot of the problem is everybody's greedy, so they're like, I mean, the hamburger costs more than the bun, but then you say, well, if they're going to charge that for beef, then I'm going to charge this for bread.
Yeah.
And you're going to charge
it's a
whatever you want to charge
vicious
because you
circle.
are,
Exactly.
you are greedy. And so
The 70s rock, and we'll finish off with this, is the 70s, not rock, I mean the 70s music era, in my opinion, if you could get an opinion by all three, I think the 70s, over the 60s, the 50s, the 80s, 70s, had everybody, the Elton Johns, the rock and roll, the disco, the Sinatras are still alive, the Tom Joneses, the Engelbert. You had such a variety of music in
And
the 70s.
it was the best
Best-
of the best.
Best decade
and it
in
was
history.
And to me,
Elton John.
I had the pleasure of living through it.
Yeah.
And I graduated in '76, and the '70s were the
Would you agree,
the
Billy?
best era of my life.
Would
I
you
agree.
agree that it
Without a
was
doubt.
the most diverse
Absolutely.
decade of music?
Absolutely.
From
78
Sinatra down to the Sex Pistols.
I think 78 was the best year for music. People have their own ideas, but I said 78 was, if you look at the top 100, right? And I remember this because my mother would always have the radio on in the car and always the top 40. And
Yep.
I
WRKO.
I'll
Casey
just never
Kasem.
forget, though, that if you think about it, right?
We'll be right back.
So you got on the same radio station, Boston, Linda Ronstadt,
yeah.
right? Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, and then Kiss was on them.
Led Zeppelin.
Zeppelin,
Yeah. Hold on. to Love.
Aerosmith.
Yep. Dream On.
Leo Sayer.
Yep.
Like if we keep going, we could keep going
It
and
was
keep
the most-
naming people.
The greatest decade of all.
But it was every style of music on one chart, and we were listening to all of it.
But my point is, Louis, you still had the classics still going in Vegas. The Sinatras, the Sammys,
Yeah.
Tom Jones. I mean, it was just it was an untouchable decade. You'll never, ever duplicate that decade for music.
Nah, they ruined it. The people in suits that only know how to count money.
Absolutely.
So
well,
true.
Louis, this was great, and I wish we had more time, but we.
But we don't.
We don't. We went.
I wish I had more money,
We
but I
actually
don't.
went long tonight, Louis.
Yeah.
You really, you took advantage of us. Anyways, bring it on, Billy.
Yeah,
We're
we will
taking
do
off.
that.
Thank you so
Guys,
much, Louis.
We
you,
appreciate
guys.
you. We appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much to everybody that's here. We appreciate you. Straight Up Talk Boston every Monday night at 7 o'clock, except for tonight. Something's happened with Comcast. We're down. We've been down all night, but we're posting this on the on YouTube and on Facebook, so you get to see the entire thing without interruption. We love you. God bless. We'll see you.
What's your hurry?
I gotta go.